Hello and welcome to this Ferris State University Football Week 0 preview. I'm the voice of the Bulldogs, Rob Bentley, alongside Sandy Gholston. The Bulldogs practicing here at East Kentwood High School before they board the flight to Kansas to take on the Pittsburgh State Gorillas tomorrow night. Sandy, the Bulldogs finally game day almost here for this team after 3 weeks of preseason camp.
Yeah, just so much anticipation, going back to media day and players checking in and getting preseason underway. And then now you just feel like camp went by in a blur, and here we are. On the eve of game day, heading out to Pittsburgh, Kansas. And so certainly a lot of energy in the bodies of these players and the coaches and the support staff and everybody just anticipating what should be a great Week 0 matchup.
Big business trip here for the Bulldogs, and something that this team and this program has certainly done a number of times here in recent years in terms of boarding a flight and going to play a very good opponent.
Yeah, we went through it last year, certainly early in the season, going out to Montana, and that was a tremendous atmosphere that we saw out in Montana. Great football game that the Bulldogs had. So in terms of going into a really tough environment on the road, the Bulldogs have experience with that. You mentioned the travel and everything that goes into traveling by plane. The Bulldogs have been through that as well, and so this is old territory for a lot of these Bulldogs, and hopefully that experience will pay off for them in this trip.
Of course, the Bulldogs expecting a great game tomorrow night. Pittsburgh State, a very tough opponent here in Week 0, and a great matchup here. Maybe the best matchup in Division II football this weekend.
Yeah, it certainly looks like the premier Division II matchup coming up this week in Week 0, and obviously we're all excited to have a Week 0 here and more opportunities to be able to get those games in for the season. And so, but when you think of the marquee matchups around the country, certainly everybody's going to be looking at Pittsburgh State hosting Ferris State, and so we're excited about that, and it's just going to be a great way to kick off this Division II football season. Two of the great programs of Division II college football willing to lock horns in Week 0. That's great for college football.
Pittsburgh State, a new head coach, Tom Anthony, who takes over. He was kind of the guy that really got their defense going as the defensive coordinator a few years ago, and certainly we know they're going to have a great defense out on the field, but so will the Bulldogs tomorrow night.
Yeah, when you think of us playing them a couple of years ago, and they certainly hang their hat on defense, and it was a really good defensive struggle, 17-14 game that the Bulldogs won en route to winning the national championship, and that was arguably, if not the toughest game, it was certainly right up there among the toughest games we played. So we know those of us who are here with the program, they are familiar with Pittsburgh State and know what they're going to bring to the table. Very good defensive team, very aggressive defensive team, very disciplined defensive team, very opportunistic offensively as well. And so this is going to be a really tight matchup between two giants of Division II football.
Of course, offensively for Ferris State, the Bulldogs have some dynamic playmakers led by Carson Gulker, Trinidad Chambliss, two quarterbacks here that'll run the Ferris State offense. Chad Dodson for Pittsburgh State, a veteran quarterback as well, and certainly one of the top quarterbacks here in the country.
What you like when you start a season with a matchup of this magnitude, you like to have that experience at quarterback, and both teams feel like they have that. Bulldogs feel very comfortable with their two starting quarterbacks that they're going to have. Pittsburgh State certainly feels very comfortable as well. You want to be able to have that guy or guys that can really help keep you composed offensively, help you execute what you want to do offensively, because there are going to be a lot of emotions flying around the field, especially early on being Week 0 and kicking off the season. So when you have that experience at quarterback, that really matters, and it will for both teams.
Bulldogs going into a hostile environment at the Jungle tomorrow night. Sandy, with some keys here for Ferris State to find a way to get a win here on the road in Week 0.
Well, I think definitely avoiding early turnovers and managing the early emotion of the game. And we've seen in big games where if you have a couple of miscues early, that can really tilt the scale tremendously. And so being composed early, and they say defense travels well, and the Bulldogs certainly hope that's going to be the case. They're going to have to be able to control that line of scrimmage defensively. And then offensively, I think it's just going to be a matter of keeping that ball movement, good mix of plays. Bulldogs certainly want to run that football. You really like to run the football and control the clock on the road or at home for that matter. So the Bulldogs hope to be able to do that as well. So it's really going to be one in the trenches for one of these two teams.
The Bulldogs, of course, open up the 2024 season. Tomorrow night, we'll have pregame coverage for you at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday 97.3, also online at ferrisstatebulldogs.com. You can watch the game as well. Buffalo Wild Wings in Big Rapids, a live watch party, along with the MIAA Network on pay-per-view. Visit ferrisstatebulldogs.com for complete links and information as the Bulldogs take on the Gorillas Saturday night in Pittsburgh, Kansas.